Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're gonna talk about Neuralink update. So let's dive right into it. Well, first, I have already made a detailed video about this, so I have provided the link down below, but I'm just gonna give a surface level overview. So this is a neuroprosthesis. We have multiple types of prosthesis for your arm, your legs, your ears, things of that nature. Now, what is unique about this? This is gonna communicate to your brain directly. We already have something similar where it's trying to communicate quote unquote directly to the brain, but those are very quote unquote crude devices. This is very refined, basically going from 2G to 5G. So that kind of scenario is happening. It's gonna have the ability to read and write data from brain. What does that mean? That simply means it can make you feel things or quote unquote listen to music without actually having any audio, and basically you can interact with. Basically it's a keyboard and mouse that is inside your head, and you don't have to physically move your arms. You're like, keyboard mouse is going YOLO. So that's the whole point of it. And the sole reason this can be done is simply because this is inside the skull. Now skull is a very solid boy. It's a very thick boy. It's around 10 millimeter thick, sometimes even more than that. Now what does that mean? That means that thickness of calcium deposit, very few electrical signal can actually go through. Now human brain is an electrochemical device. Now it has chemistry, it has electricity, but because it's so inside, like such a shield, quote unquote, your skull, we can't sense that signal. Like we have tried other technologies and we could figure it out, but the signal are very muddled and noisy. The only way to bypass it is go inside the skull. So how they're gonna do that is basically they're gonna insert these threads that directly go in your brain. Your brain, basically most of your brain density is directly on the surface of the skull, surface of the brain, the basically wiggly parts that you see. Now it's gonna insert there, and these threads will act as a IO devices. Basically these threads will receive signal from neurons firing, and over time you will figure out, okay, if I think like this is what is going to trigger. After a while you will learn how to use it. So that's the whole point of this device. It's gonna be a brain prosthesis directly implanted inside your skull, and it's gonna have wires that's doing the actual work. So this is a Gen 2 of this device. They already figured out how to make the Gen 1 device, figured out as in like they had a design, and now they are like refining that design. So they are trying to make it much more simpler, much more manufacturable, and much more basically quote unquote digestible, so to say. Because the original idea, you're gonna have multiple insertion in your brains. Like the original image had like 4 insertions, and there you're gonna be have threads inserted. Okay, awesome, no problem. But they had to have sub wires after your skull. They had to have sub wires that go back side of your ear, and you're gonna have a module on top of ear. Now that's acceptable to a certain point, simply because many people have listening aids at this point in time, so it's kind of acceptable. But Elon Musk's end game of this puppy is trying to get it mass adopted to everyone. Basically this is not a tool, quote unquote. This is more like a device that you're gonna buy in the future. It's a more like next smartphone, so to say. So it's like from day one, like how SpaceX has like direct goal, go to Mars, this puppy has direct like go to every person's head. Now this has wireless charging, because obviously we do not have atomic battery yet properly. So this is the next best thing, wireless induction charging. And you have to supposed to charge this puppy every night. And this, the diameter wise, how diameter is around 1 inch, so 2.54 centimeter. That's the drill, that's the arbor they're gonna use to drill through your skull. Do not worry, this is a common tactic basically skull industry has to do. It's like there are more than enough doctors in the planet right now that do this on a regular basis, so it's a doable thing. And it has like around 1024 channel per link. So basically if you take that thread, it has 1024 data points where it can read those neurons. Now because it's a thread, because a brain is not like PCB board where you're gonna lay things out, most of those channel may end up reading like repeat data. Some may not read write data, because again neurons are not spread out like mathematical grid. They have a bit of organic shape to it. So again, does not mean exactly you're gonna get that many data points, but you will get more than enough. And that's just one channel, they have multiple channels. So that's the whole point. And the idea is once they did the surgery, it's gonna be flush with your skull. So basically unless you are bald like Jeff Bezos, you should not have any issue hiding this puppy. It's gonna be like completely forgotten. Nobody's gonna like, dude, why the heck you have a USB-C port here? It's not gonna be like that. It's completely flush inside the screen. And it also has extra bells and whistles. For example, 6-axis inertial measurement unit, basically how your smartwatch is there, exactly like that. And it has like a low bandwidth wireless system. So now you may be like, why the heck it has such a low bandwidth? Like if you look at, first, to save the battery, second, it's directly talking to brain. Like if you actually figure it out, like brain just does on off on off on off. Like you tell press A key, press B key. Now think of it this way, like if you directly get to wire that puppy to each your impulses, those will be very low bandwidth. So that's the whole point. They do not need, quote unquote, to like have a giant pipe, like, few gigabytes per second. They do not need that. Our brain is very good at compressing those things. So Gen 2, this is the whole point. They call it Link version 0.9. Now, reality is we have humans that do this kind of operations, but reality is they are very slow. Now, consequence of being slow is like you have to be under anesthesia for much longer, which is the longer you remain under anesthesia, the more dangerous it becomes and more tedious it becomes, like, because there is a person that will tire over time. You do not want to do that. So they started to utilize a robot. Now, robot have to see where the heck it's going, and it needs, quote unquote, X-ray vision. You do not want to poke even a hair through a blood vessel, because the moment you do that, there is a risk of clotting, and if you have clotting directly happening inside your skull in your primary brain layer, you dead. So you do not want to do that. So how the heck they approach that? They utilize infrared vision. Infrared can easily make sure, like, if you have good infrared camera, you can see, okay, these are the blood vessels, avoid them. So that's a really good thing. And humans are slow. That's the whole point. They cannot rely on them. So the operation, the end game is basically you call them up on basically Friday night. They're like, dude, come on Saturday morning, we're gonna do this. They're gonna like prep you, do the operation, and patch you up, and you're gonna go home at Saturday night. That's the whole point, because he's directly targeting for somebody who has to, like, a common thing. It's like how we get our teeth done, something like that. So that's the end game. That's why he also wants to this robot. Right now the robot only takes care of the insertion part. So basically surgeons do the drilling part where they drill through your skull, but over time this robot will also possess the ability to do the drilling itself. So you just go there, doctors will put you under anesthesia, robot is going to take care of everything. Doctors will be there just as a monitoring staff, and ideally you will not need full general anesthesia. Low level anesthesia should do. That's the whole point. That's why they want to shrink that point. So it's very simple for most people. Now, they already did a biological testing. Before this, they did testing on rats, but this time much larger brain creatures, big brain boys, pigs, so to say. And they utilized 3 pigs. Now, first pig was controlled, basically no tampering, health was okay. That was just to show how a normal pig is supposed to behave. Another pig was implanted pig. Now, this pig had a bit of a behavior issue, but not like crippled, not like, damaged or something like that, but like bit of a behavior, like maybe in bad mood, because pig cannot speak. He cannot scream out, hey dude, I'm in pain, or dude, this is annoying, or something like that. I do not know. And another pig was one very interesting thing that they have to, for FDA reasons and for many other implications, they have to give the ability that it should be undoable. Basically, you got this implant, you're not happy with it, take it out. You cannot be like, oh, we cannot actually take it out, you will die if you did that. That cannot be done. So that was the third pig. That was like, okay, we had the implant done on the pig, now we're going to remove the implant, and just to show like you can heal after that, that was also taken care of. And all of these pigs, they were alive, they were well within parameters, and they did a lot of good data gathering. What does that mean? That simply means from brain level they are detecting whether the snout was used or not, and that was just like an early level testing. Now the finer points of that is like they are utilizing brain analysis directly. They figured out the algorithm, they figured out how the brains are behaving. After training the computer for the data, they figured out an algorithm where they are like, okay, the pig is gonna move this leg now, and it moved in that way. So they directly had a production model utilizing the brain data, and they had a camera directly feedbacking the system. It's like how accurate that is. It's horrifyingly accurate. It's like it's actually reading how the heck exactly basically pigs are moving. And I'm pretty sure if you feed this through, let's say, some sort of a machine learning AI, over time, like, it will become absolutely precise. It will figure out the lag and compensation and all that jazz. So good progress. So what is the hope of such devices? Now be mindful, Elon Musk has a tendency to go YOLO with his words. So let's come down to earth. Basically what actually we can achieve in next, let's say, 5 years. Now first reality is it should allow paralysis to become a thing of the past. That's the end game. That's the, like, this is something achievable in our lifetime if things go well. Now what does that mean? That simply means on first gen part, imagine it this way. If you still had Stephen Hawking, he could have this implant, and that would have allowed him to have an actual keyboard and mouse directly talking to his brain, and he could have communicated much faster. Basically his pipe bandwidth, which was directly limited by his eyes because he had to move his eyes, it's not that fast. But imagine if he actually had keyboard and mouse, and he's directly going YOLO on it. Now if he could do that, his communication would improve drastically. So that's the easiest thing that I'm expecting by 2021 2022. That should be doable, because we had like similar tech. It's just like much more refined, much more quote unquote standardized, so to say. So that would be step 1. Step 2 will be fixing things. Basically, hey, this part of brain is misbehaving, let's tune it, electrically tune it. Think of it this way, how your basically pacemaker works. Think of it that way. So we can tune it. Then third part would be like bypassing it. Think of it this way. Let's say you had a spinal injury and your brain, GG, brain is good. It's happy. It can take care of your body. Completely healthy. It's like, bro, I got this. But there is no communication there. It can act as a basically bridgeport. So to say, you will have an implant there and directly in the base of your spine, and it's gonna improve the communication to a point where you should, in principle, go back to normal. So that's the whole point, and it can allow us to cure many brain related things, which for example, blindness. Right now we can't cure blindness because we can't give people eye. We cannot just like, okay, buy this camera. Now you may be like, why don't try with eye implants? But here's the deal, it's a biological thing. You can't mass produce it. You can't control P this puppy, or order like, hey Sony, manufacture like few millions of these puppy. That's not gonna happen. So ideally you want the ability to directly communicate with the brain. If you can do that, you can make like, let's say, cyber cameras. You can make hearing implants. You can make like things that directly communicate rather than improve or like, patch things directly. So many things will be possible, and some amazing things which for some people would be really, really necessary. It's like fixing addiction. That's one very enticing deal. Like if you are a very serious addict, this puppy is much less intrusive, so to say, because they are not going to flood you with chemicals or force you to go through like hell to remove your addiction. This can directly talk to your brain. It's like it's going to soothe your brain directly. It's like, bro, you don't need this. So those are some amazing hopes of this puppy. Now let's come to the dark philosophy of this. Now, when I last talked about this, I was not really looking deeply into this, and I was simply saying, just watch episode of Dark Mirror, so to say. However, I have realized this, something that was fault of mine. This puppy is a direct mind control device. We are physically building a mind control. That's the whole thing we are doing here. Like nothing else. It's like directly giving a remote control to a person. Like think of it this way, I already made a video about IoT devices and how they like literally allow someone else to control your equipment. Like for example, a company can decide, hey dude, you're utilizing your fridge and it's been like for 7 years and it's completely going fine. They're like, dude, I'm not making profit of you. F you, I'm gonna break the fridge. Same thing has already happened with let's say other things like televisions, refrigerators, and sound systems, which are supposed to last for freaking 30 years. They are just like, break you. Now we are doing the same thing. Like for some convenience, we are giving up our control to someone else. Now this puppy, we are giving the control of our goddamn brain to someone else. That is just not acceptable. Fundamentally, that's just not acceptable. No, flat out no, because inherently it has to do mood control. Otherwise it fundamentally cannot work on addicts. That means you gave a machine a direct control to a human brain where it can make it like agitated, make it happy, make it like basically remote control, and it also has to do motor control, like which they have already demonstrated that pigs they can actually understand. Think of this way, like I'm doing this motion, my basically robot chip will be like, oh, I got this, like he wants to do like this. That's horrifying. You are literally creating a remote control, a literal physical remote control to a human brain. So, and thought monitoring will also be the eventual outcome of this, because right now, because of our skull, we can't actually study people's brain. Like we can't have quote unquote figure out how things people are thinking. But if you have something that deep, thousands of data points, if you collect it over time, you will be like, dude, I know exactly how you think, exactly what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it. Basically at this point in time, you are nothing more than a data point on my Excel spreadsheet. Like this is beyond horrifying. And the sole ways Elon Musk is selling is that people who do not know AI or do not understand those things, they are like, AI is gonna like surpass us. This device will allow us to like, stay competitive. Reality is no, it's not gonna do anything. It's gonna be 100% useless, because this is no point of having better communication with an AI. Think of it this way. Let's say you utilize this device on Stephen Hawking, and I'm talking to Stephen Hawking. There is no point. There is no point. Let's say Stephen Hawking is like going YOLO, on YOLO. Like, can I understand it? The reality is no. Same thing could happen in another way. Think of this way. Many people right now, they know English. They have laptops that are so advanced that they will make typewriters look like bitch, please. Yet there are many people who utilize typewriters, and I mean back in the 1500s, back in 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, and write novels. Those novels became such a big, huge hit sellers that they're made into movies, and the movies made into $1 billion. Here's the deal. Does having a laptop guarantees that? Like think of it this way, language is a skill. Now there are many people who know English like, whoa, butter English. Like, you know, I know how exactly each pronunciation is done, how I know exactly spelling of every single word, exactly, like precise. But do they does that give them the ability to actually have the ability to communicate with someone? Can they calm down a crying baby? Can they sing a song there where you like, you know, your soul like hurts? Like, can they convey emotions? Can they write a, like, for example, Harry Potter? Think of it this way, like Harry Potter has a character, dementors, so to say. Those are not characters, those are creatures. Now those creatures, only a person who went through depression could actually manifest something like that. Same happens with songs also. It's like you have to go through heartbreak to actually convey that. Same happens with genius also. Like, for example, did Newton had an issue? He did not had a, like, you know, latest iMac. Did Einstein had an issue? He did not had a, like, you know, Windows 7. No, like fundamentally this is 100% useless. It's like, oh, I'm gonna have a better bandwidth. All you're gonna do at best case scenario is gonna reduce the latency. Basically, think of this way. I do a video editing. My video editing is just like, take the audio file, take the video file, sync them up, trim the first end and the end. All it's gonna do is like make it much more efficient. And consequence of that, like directly having quote unquote smartphone in your brain, smartphone is very destructive to human society. Human brain is not designed for this kind of sensory overload, and now you are adding sensors to us. It's like, you know, wouldn't it be nice if we fried your brain with 10,000 TikTok videos? So fundamentally, I went from like studying this, like if they are doing it for paralysis people, it's really awesome for them, simply because they are living in such a bad place. They're like, dude, I don't care, you want to control, it's like, give me the sensation of walking. So I can understand them, like for their reason, like, and they can make a choice. But the moment you want to sell it to common people, this is a fire that will burn entire humanity down. It's like, it's so horrifying. That implications of this is so horrifying. It's like literally either Elon Musk does not know he's playing with fire, or he does not think how far this can devolve, basically. So I went from like, you know, this is awesome technology to, whoa, we are literally creating a remote control for humans. This is really, really horrifying. So this was my presentation on Neuralink. I hope you liked it, learn from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.